नमस्कार दोस्तों। आज के इस वीडियो में हम देखेंगे सोशल एंड पॉलिटिकल मूवमेंट्स, प्रोटेस्ट्स एंड एसोसिएशन थ्रू आउट द इंडियन फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल। और हम सारे मूवमेंट्स और प्रोटेस्ट कवर करेंगे जो यूपीएससी और सीएपीएफ एग्जाम में पूछे गए हैं। एंड एज वी डिड इन आवर प्रीवियस मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री लेक्चर्स, हम आपको उतना ही डेटा देंगे जो एग्जाम के लिए रेलेवेंट है, so that in just one video all your revision will be taken care of. Now, similar to the previous videos of modern history, all the information that has been marked in red has been asked in the UPSC exam or the CAPF exam. और उसके अलावा जो भी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स है वो बोल्ड किए गए हैं। इन सारे मूवमेंट्स, प्रोटेस्ट और एसोसिएशंस को मैंने असेंडिंग ऑर्डर में क्रोनोलॉजिकली ऑर्डर किया है। सो द फर्स्ट मूवमेंट वी हैव हियर इज द वहाबी मूवमेंट, led by Sayyid Ahmad Barelvi, Shah Walullah, and Shah Abdul Aziz. Their objective was to revive the pure monotheistic Islam, eliminate un-Islamic practices, oppose British rule, and declare India as Dar al-Harb. Then we have the Satnami movement that originated in the Punjab region. Earliest Satnamis were a sect of mendicants and householders founded by Birbhan in eastern Punjab. It was later revived by Ghasidas in the 19th century. This sect came under severe conflict under Aurangzeb. उसके बाद आता है फराइजी मूवमेंट. The leaders were Dudu Mian and Haji Shariatullah. इसमें भी one of the motives was to restore Islamic practices and introduce a paramilitary structure in Bengal. Then Henry Vivian Derozio founded the Young Bengal movement in the early 19th century. Their motive was to promote free thought, classical economics, radical social reform, etc. They also established the Academic Association in 1828 and Society for Acquisition of General Knowledge in 1838. Sayyid Mir Nasir Ali, also known as Titu Mir, fought for peasant rights in Bengal. He was influenced by Wahhabi ideas, and similar to the Wahhabi movement, they wanted to enforce Sharia law in Bengal. Then again in the Punjab region, in 1840, we have the Kuka movement, where the aim was to purify Sikhism and to reject social evils like infanticide, caste discrimination, dowry, etc. It was also one of the first movements where promotion of Swadeshi and boycotting of British good was carried out. Then we have the Naga revolt in the northeast region during 1849. Contemporary to the Kuka movement, we also have the Nirankari movement. This movement, led by Baba Dayal Das, also focused on reforming Sikh beliefs. He wanted to revive monotheism and purge idolatrous practices. संथल हुल पे यूपीएससी में सवाल पूछा गया है, which was asked in the context of Santhal Parganas, which were separate administrative units formed by the British. Then we have the revolt of 1857, a rebellion by Shah Amal in Uttar Pradesh, and the special characteristics of this movement were that they set up an intelligence network and a hall of justice in Uttar Pradesh. Also, he organized headmen and peasants of 84 villages, which was later referred to as the Chaurasi Desh, marching at night from village to village and urging people to support them against the British. इंडिगो रिवोल्ट पे भी काफी बार सवाल पूछे गए हैं, जिसमें उनके लीडर्स और उनके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स पूछे गए हैं. रिलीजियस मूवमेंट्स जनरली दो टाइप्स के होते हैं, एक होता है रिफॉर्मिस्ट और दूसरा होता है रिवाइवलिस्ट. So this next movement, called the Deoband movement, was a revivalist movement which wanted to revive Islamic teachings, oppose the British cultural influence, and was also initially supported by the Indian National Congress. उसके बाद an example of the reformist movement is the Singh Sabha movement, जहाँ पे वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन, काउंटरिंग कन्वर्जेंस, खालसा स्कूल्स ऐसे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स शामिल थे. Then we have the Pabna agricultural revolt in Bengal region, which was led by Shah Chandra Roy and Shambhunath Pal. In 1875, we have the Deccan riots, where a peasant group was fighting against a group of moneylenders. The peasant group was known as Kunbis and the moneylenders were known as Wanis. The major problem in this region was the failure of the riotary system. These riots were supported by the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha of M.G. Ranade. And for this, a Deccan Riots Commission had also been set up. The important point that you have to remember here is that it was a peasant revolt, but it was not a movement of landless peasants or poor tribal people. फिर late 19th century में we have the Aligarh movement led by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Organizations के वीडियो में भी हमने देखा था how Syed Ahmad Khan was responsible for the formation of Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, which was later called as Aligarh Muslim University. He urged the Muslims to stay away from politics and to strive for education and modern jobs. Similarly, improving women's rights was also one of the objectives of Aligarh movement. In 1889, we have the Ahmadiyya movement led by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, where the main motives were to promote peaceful coexistence and they emphasized peace over militancy. After a while, this movement began seeing Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as the Masiha. Munda rebellion, which is also known as Ulgulan, इसके कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी उनके लीडर बिरसा मुंडा के बारे में सवाल पूछा गया है। यूपीएससी में जनरली पार्टीशन ऑफ बंगाल व्हिच टुक प्लेस इन 1905 इस टाइम पीरियड के बाद के मूवमेंट्स पे काफी सवाल आए हैं। So as you can see, the first one is Swadeshi and boycott movement, where the leaders Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, Aurobindo Ghosh have been asked, in which case the objectives like promotion of indigenous goods, boycott of British products is very important. वैसे ही महात्मा गांधी से रिलेटेड ये तीन मूवमेंट्स भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। इनकी क्रोनोलॉजी भी बहुत अच्छे से याद रखिए। फर्स्ट वी हैव चंपारण सत्याग्रह led by Mahatma Gandhi, in which Dr. Rajendra Prasad, J.B. Kriplani were also involved. Then in the Ahmedabad mill strikes, we have Mahatma Gandhi as the leader again. And this movement, Anusuya Sarabhai also played a very important part. Also, this was the first instance where Gandhi ji used hunger strike as a method of protest. उसके बाद we have the Kheda Satyagraha, which was led by Mahatma Gandhi again, and Vallabhbhai Patel and Indulal Yagnik were also the members of this protest. In 1919, we have the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. And in this context, you need to remember that Rabindranath Tagore renounced his knighthood in protest. Also, Mahatma Gandhi gave up his title of Kaiser-e-Hind that the British had given him for his contribution during the Boer Wars. And after the tragedy, a disorders inquiry committee was formed, which was also known as the Hunter Commission. Then we have the non-cooperation movement, which was led by Mahatma Gandhi again. Now, the objectives were to resist British rule through non-violent means and to promote self-reliance, for which educational institutions like Kashi Vidyapit, Gujarat Vidyapit, Jamia Millia Islamia were established. Singh Sabha movement से ही linked Akali movement भी बहुत important है, which led to the enactment of the Sikh Gurudwaras Act in 1925. उसके बाद Madari Pasi led Eka movement has also been asked. Then we have the Mopla rebellion, which took place in Malabar region of Kerala. This movement was led by Muslim tenants against Hindu landlords. Then we have the Rampa rebellion led by Alluri Sitaram Raju against forest laws in Andhra region. Then in 1928 we have the Bardoli Satyagraha led by Vallabhbhai Patel. Also in this case you have to remember that the women of Bardoli were the first to confer the title of Sardar on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Also by the early 20th century, Praja Mandals and Praja Parishads were also being established everywhere, where the leaders were Balwant Rai Mehta and Maniklal Kothari. These Praja Parishads were being established by the people of princely states. That's why they were also known as the Praja Mandal movements. And their basic objectives were to secure democratic rights and to resist the feudal princes and British rule. Because of which, at the 1938 Haripur session, the Congress included the independence of princely states as well in its goal of Purna Swaraj. Then we have the Bakht movement during the 1930s. It was led by Kariyanand Sharma, Swami Sahajanand Saraswati. And this was the movement that later became the leadership of Kisan Sabha at Bihar. And the last movement during independence was the Tebhaga movement, which was organized by the Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha. And in this context, the clash between the Jotedar and the Bagardar have been asked. So आज के लिए इतना ही। आप भी जब ऐसे एसोसिएशंस और मूवमेंट्स के बारे में पढ़ेंगे तो इट इज वेरी इजी फॉर यू इफ यू स्टडी देम इन अ क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर। और जब भी आप ऐसे ऑर्डर में नोट्स बनाएंगे तो ये मत भूलिए कि आपको उन नोट्स को इंटरलिंक भी करना है विद अदर लीडर्स, देयर वर्क्स, द अदर एसोसिएशंस दैट दे हैव बीन इन्वॉल्व विद। ऐसे करने से आपको उस टाइम पीरियड का एक कंप्लीट पिक्चर सामने मिल जाएगा। और इस चीज का सबसे अच्छा एडवांटेज ये है कि एग्जाम में ये आपके पेरिफेरल नॉलेज के लिए बहुत काम आएगा। When you know what the perspectives, what the leaders, what the associations in a certain timeline meant or what they stood for, आपके लिए एग्जाम में दिए गए ऑप्शंस को एलिमिनेट करना या सही ऑप्शन तक पहुंचना बहुत इजी हो जाता है। सो थैंक यू सो मच एंड आई विल सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट वीडियो।